So you want to catch more big fish with Garmin Livescope? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you 3 lures to catch more big bass on Garmin Livescope this summer. Let's go. And if you're wanting to catch 2-pounders on Livescope, this is not the video for you. So if you're wanting to catch little fish and go throw a drop shot all day, not the video you want to be watching. So you're just going to have to go click on another video, because this video is about catching big fish with Livescope. Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay, you're still here. Let's jump into it. So before we get into it, I just want to tell you guys that this is based on my personal experiences and where I fish in the country. So if you're fishing up north for smallmouth or fishing in super clean bodies of water for spotted bass, all this information may not apply to you. But for what I do out here in the Oklahoma, Texas, you know, the southern region of the country, fishing how I fish and how a lot of the bodies of water in this area fish, this is the best information I can give to you guys. I also want to say that these lures are not just for going out and catching your average sized fish. I mean, these baits are really meant for targeting, depending on the body of water, fish that are 4+ pounds, all the way up to that 9, 10, 11, 12 pound class fish. All the baits that I'm about to show you, I've caught fish up to 8 to 10 pounds on these fish. They catch them. They're baits for big fish, not that they won't catch smaller fish. These baits are intended to catch big ones, and there are better options if you're just looking to go out and catch fish. So the first bait I want to talk about is going to be a 10-inch ribbon tail worm. I don't know if you guys can see that right there, but a 10-inch ribbon tail worm is going to be one of the best ways to catch numbers and big fish in the summer. I'm going to use this this bait in a lot of different scenarios, but the primary use for it is going to be fish that are near the bottom or fish that are locked onto cover. So I'm fishing for fish that are on brush piles, on rock piles, but fish I can see visually on my Garmin unit cruising around this cover and not locked in. I want to be able to see these fish if I get the opportunity. Fish on brush piles may be a little bit harder to see. If I'm looking for fish on brush, timber, and rock, and a handful of fish that are out in open water. But the big thing is I want them to be locked on the cover when I'm throwing that 10-inch worm. Whether it's in the brush pile, on rock, you know, I want these fish to be close to the bottom or tight to the cover. It seems like they don't want to chase that 10-inch worm a long ways. So if you see fish cruising above a rock pile 5 foot up, that bait may be the one for you. But if they're suspended up to 10 feet off the bottom, 20 feet off the bottom, depending on how deep you're fishing, this bait may not be your best option. Not that you can't catch fish that way, but it's a little bit tougher to make those fish chase that bait a long ways and still commit to it, versus when they're near the bottom. If they're up high, there are better presentations, which we're going to get into. Now, before I move on to the second bait, what I'd really appreciate you guys doing, go down in the comments, leave me a comment on what your favorite bait is to throw on Garmin Livescope, whether that's for big fish, little fish, just what's your favorite lure to throw on Livescope. I really want to know. That way I have some insight and I can help you guys and try to learn these techniques and show you guys what I'm able to find with these, help you catch more fish. The second bait I want to dig into is one that I have not talked about publicly much, and it's thrown widely on the Tennessee River region of the country, but we don't see a lot of people throwing it out here in Oklahoma, Texas, places like that. That's going to be a Scrounger-style bait. This bait, like I said, does not get thrown a lot around here, and you can take your pick of what you want to throw. Personally, I like throwing the Jinko products, and that's not because I have a connection to the company. I believe these baits have the best action. They have the best hook compared to the Scrounger brand stuff, and I don't want to knock on any brands, but I think this bait has the best action and the best hook for when you're hooking into those 7, 8, 9 pound class fish. You're gonna be able to put these fish in the boat, and I'm not gonna be worried about straightening out a hook like I was with some of the other brands that I've tried. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've ordered some of these. I've got some duds on the heads, but the big deal with these is making sure you get the right weight and bill on these baits. I throw either a 3/4 or a 1 ounce head, depending on how deep I'm fishing and how fast I want it to move, and I'm throwing the long bill. It's really important. I'm putting a 7-inch Jinko shad style bait on there. I'll leave a link down below so you guys can find it. But That bait I'm throwing specifically on schools of fish. I've had trouble catching fish with that bait when I'm throwing it at singles, 1, 2, 3 fish. But if I can find 5 fish or more, it seems like they're more likely to commit. But I like to find fish, preferably that are schooled up near the bottom or on brush piles, things like that. But when you find those fish, they will absolutely annihilate it. I mean, I've caught some really solid fish. I've caught fish all the way up to 8 pounds on that bait, but it definitely does damage on fish in that 4 to 6 pound range. I don't catch a lot of little fish on it, but when I get bit, it seems to be that right quality, and they will absolutely eat it if you can find them grouped up. That is the important part, that these fish will not eat that bait very well if they're not in schools. Super important to remember, but if you can find schools of fish, they will eat that bait, and I promise you, you want to have it in your hand over any other bait when you're finding those schools out in the 10 to 25 foot of water. Okay, before we move on, I'd really appreciate it if you guys subscribe to the channel if you're liking the content that I'm putting out. Just go down, subscribe to the channel, make sure you turn on those notification bells. I'm going to be putting out more videos. I'm going to try to put out more of this educational content, so if you guys like that, let me know. But I'm going to be putting out the vlogs as usual, putting out some educational content, just trying to teach you guys what I'm learning using Livescope as well as not using Livescope. I just want to put out some information to help you guys catch more fish. But I'd really appreciate it if you guys subscribe to the channel. So the third bait I want to talk about today is probably the one I have the least amount of experience with Garmin Livescope, but I have caught some of the biggest fish with it this summer. This is going to be a glide bait. This specific glide bait is going to be a Rashi. It's a Storm Arashi glide. It's a 7.5 inch bait, and this bait catches big fish. I mean, 3 weeks ago I caught one that was just over 9 on it. Just a straight up freaking giant right there. That fish came in at 903. Had a over 30 pound bag for 5 fish. I mean, they eat this bait, but you have to find the right fish that are willing to commit to it. So the fish that I'm looking for with that glide bait are going to be different than the other fish I'm looking for. I'm looking for fish that are not locked onto cover. So I'm fishing for fish that are in open water or, you know, cruising around pole timber, but I prefer them not to be locked onto the cover. They can be near cover, but I don't want them locked onto it. If they're locked onto it, I'm going to go back, pick up that worm. I have trouble getting these fish to commit when you're pulling them out of cover with that glide bait. But if they're out roaming, it seems like they tend to be in a feeding mode. You can get that glide bait around them. Fish it like a jerk bait. Fish it fast and erratically. I'm not going to slow reel it. I want to be doing like half handle turns all the time, twitching the bait, making it dart back and forth, and these fish will come up and annihilate it like you've never seen. Some of these fish in Oklahoma, especially the ones out deep, eat this bait like they've never seen it. It reminds me of how they ate a jerk bait when Livescope first came out, and I would find fish out in open water and they would wreck it because they've never seen a bait out there. It's exactly like that with this glide bait. I haven't branched out into a lot of other brands. I'm working on that. Like I said, this is the one I have the least experience with. It really just got onto that bite this summer, but I've learned a lot about it since I got it, and I've caught some big fish with it. Hopefully I can get some more info for you guys, but like I said, you guys need to chase those open water fish that are cruising around bait balls, maybe just out in open water in a timber field looking for bait. There may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish. Any of them are going to eat it, but it seems like the fish that eat it the best are going to be those fish that are 4+ pounds. Because those smaller fish have trouble eating that 7.5 inch bait, but I guarantee you those 7, 8, 9 pound fish will eat this bait if you can get it to them and get it to them correctly. Now, I've caught fish on this bait all the way from 3 foot down from the surface down to 12, 13, 14 foot deep, and they will come a long ways to see that bait. It moves a lot of water. They can feel that bait, and I've seen fish go a long way on Livescope looking for this bait, and when they find it, a lot of the time they will annihilate it if you're fishing it right. But it's just been an incredible bait. One thing I do want to mention with this Arashi glide bait, it has a clip on the nose of the bait, and just take that thing off, it's trash. throw it away. That clip is garbage. You want to make sure put a heavy duty split ring on it. I've already straightened out those clips on the front. They're no good. You do not want those clips on there, I promise. Just replace it with a heavy duty split ring. Don't worry about it again. It's got good hooks, all that. Just that split ring is the one flaw in that bait. But the big fish will eat it, and it catches big ones. You guys have to pick that up. That's an essential this summer if you want to go out and use Livescope to catch big fish specifically. Okay, so that's it. 3 baits to catch big bass in the summer on Garmin Livescope. You know, that's what I got. That's all I got. It's my 3 best baits to go catch big fish in the summertime using the Livescope unit. Like I said, you guys don't forget to let me know what your favorite lures are to target big bass in the summertime with Garmin Livescope. And I'm just really curious to see what other people are starting to figure out and learn to catch fish on with this Livescope unit. It's all so new, and the community of people that are using it is growing. And I'd really like to find out kind of what all you guys are figuring out and see where this Livescope is going. I don't know if there's any limits to what you can use to catch fish on it, but it's been super influential in how I fish, and it's definitely caught a lot of big fish for me. So it's been an incredible tool to have on the boat. But that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to go down and like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate that a ton. If you haven't already, turn on the notification bell so you get my videos right when they're posted. That's gonna be it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll catch you guys on the next one.